We start with breaking news. Police in the Canadian city of Vancouver say a number of people have been killed and multiple others injured after a vehicle was driven into a crowd at a street festival. The driver has been arrested. The city's mayor, Ken Sim, has said he is shocked and deeply saddened by what he called an horrific incident. And the pictures that we're now looking at are from the scene there in Vancouver. And of course, police, as we mentioned, they're saying that several people have been killed and many others are injured. We're expecting more developments from the police. They say, of course, that they continue to carry out their investigations. We also had a statement coming in from Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney. And I'll just read that out to you. It was posted on X. He said, "I am devastated to hear about the horrific events at the Lapu Lapu Festival in Vancouver earlier this evening. I offer my deepest condolences to the loved ones of those killed and injured, to the Filipino-Canadian community and to everyone in Vancouver. We're all mourning with you," he said. He said, "We are monitoring the situation closely and thankful to our first responders for their swift actions." And just as we look at those images once again from the scene, there was an interesting statement that came in from Jagmeet Singh. He is the leader of the New Democratic Party, an opposition party in Canada. Now, he was at the Lapu Lapu Day event in Vancouver, but before the incident took place, he said he is horrified to learn that innocent people have been killed and injured. And of course, all of this coming just before Canada's federal elections. Of course, we do not know of any link between the two events from this crash. But as we've been hearing, these are some of the images that we are able to show you, because others being shared on social media are just simply too horrific following that car attack, that vehicle believed to be a black SUV that rammed into a crowd of people there that had gathered for this celebration of Filipino culture in Vancouver. Of course, the Lapu Lapu Day Festival is one of the biggest events for Filipinos, celebrated both back in the Philippines but also across the world, as we saw there with the diaspora in Canada. Well, we can now bring in our correspondent, Simon Jones, who's following this story for us. Simon, what more do we know about this incident?
Well, this happened at around 8 o'clock in the evening local time, so around 4 hours ago. And the streets were extremely busy. Thousands of people were celebrating something called Lapu Lapu Day, which marks Filipino culture. Now, one eyewitness said that he saw a black car driving erratically in the area before that vehicle then ploughed into crowds. Now, some pictures have emerged of the aftermath of the scene, but many are too graphic for us to broadcast. On social media, there are images of bodies strewn across the road. You see the emergency services treating some of the casualties. People are running around in shock and screaming. And we also see the front of that black vehicle, which is all crumpled in. Now, the police say the driver of the vehicle has been arrested. Now, in terms of reaction, we've heard from the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney. I'm going to read you what he said on Twitter, on X. He said, "I'm devastated to hear about the horrific events of the Lapu Lapu Festival in Vancouver earlier this evening." He goes on to say, "I offer my deepest condolences to the loved ones of those killed and injured, to the Filipino-Canadian community and to everyone in Vancouver. We are all mourning with you. We're monitoring the situation closely and thankful to our first responders for their swift action." And we've heard lots of reaction across the political divide condemning what has happened. The local mayor has described the scenes as horrific. Now, in terms of the number of people who have been killed and the number of people who have been injured, the police have yet to give us an update on that, but we are expecting a news conference to take place in Vancouver in the coming minutes.
Yes, in the coming minutes. And Simon, as you're with us, and this just arriving into us in the newsroom, this is an updated statement from the police, saying that at approximately, as you mentioned, 8:14 p.m. on April the 26th, a man drove into a large crowd of people attending the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival near East 43rd Avenue and Fraser Street. Crucially, they say a 30-year-old suspect, a Vancouver man, was arrested at the scene. Police saying that the investigation is ongoing and is being led by the Vancouver Police Department's Major Crime Section. So a bit of detail there about the suspect in this attack there, Simon.
Yeah, I think the new bit of information we got in that statement from the police in Vancouver is the suspect is a 30-year-old and also comes from the area. Now, the police will be keen to question him as soon as possible. We don't know whether he was injured in what appears to be this attack, but the police will be looking for any sort of motivation behind what has happened. But certainly a terrifying experience for the people who were out on the streets. And what we don't know at the moment is just how bad it is in terms of the number of people who died and the number of people who have been injured. But when the police are talking about multiple casualties here, it's clear that this has been a major incident and those numbers are likely to be high.
And Simon, as we mentioned, some of the images on social media just too horrific to show on television, but just give us a sense of what has happened there and what it looks like in Vancouver today.
Well, this was the second annual Lapu-Lapu festival. So people out on the streets celebrating, enjoying themselves. There was music, there was stalls, there was due to be a parade. So an event for the community to come together, to share this experience. And then a car has ploughed into people and leaving some devastating scenes with bodies on the streets there, with the car crumpled up, with people in shock, running around, not knowing, not really comprehending what has happened. So some awful scenes there. And in terms of the police investigation, they will want to try and find out as quickly as possible what was behind this, whether there was any sort of motive behind it, and why this indeed has happened.
And what's the reaction from eyewitnesses, but also on social media, people reacting to this horrific attack?
Yeah, we've heard from one eyewitness who said that he did see a vehicle in the area that was behaving strangely, a driver driving erratically, in the words of the witness, before ploughing into crowds. And then we heard another witness talking about the aftermath of it, who said that he looked up the street and he could see body after body. I'm just going to bring you a bit more of the political reaction. The Vancouver mayor, Ken Sim, has said, "I'm shocked and deeply saddened by the horrific incident at today's Lapu-Lapu Day event. We will work to provide more information as soon as we can, but at this time the police have confirmed there are a number of fatalities and multiple injuries. Our thoughts are with all those affected, with Vancouver's Filipino community during this incredibly difficult time." So you get a sense there, the words horrific and incredibly difficult, of just what sort of effect this is having on the community and the community leaders there, who will now have to try to pick up the pieces and deal with the aftermath of this.
Indeed. Thank you for bringing us that story, Simon. That's our correspondent, Simon Jones there.